Yang Guifei, one of the four ultimate beauties in ancient China, was born Yang Yuhuan. But let's face it, no one remembers her as Yuhuan. Guifei is where the magic happens. The emperor literally created the title Guifei, meaning precious consort, the highest rank for a concubine, because nothing else was grand enough for her. Her dad? Just a regular official with 4 daughters. But by 14, Yang was already turning heads and stirring up drama. She married Prince Li Mao, the son of Emperor Tang Xuanzong and his favorite concubine. Oh, and this is just the start of the roller coaster. Fast forward, Xuanzong's beloved concubine died, and what does he do? His eyes are on Yang, but there's a tiny problem. She's married to his son. To dodge the gossip storm, he sends her off to become a Taoist nun. Then, he quickly finds a new wife for his son and summons Yang back for an upgrade to the top concubine spot. The emperor was 60 and smitten with the 26-year-old Yang, who was his one and only favorite. Her family? Showered with riches and power. Yang, she practically runs the show. The palace official treated like an empress, addressed her as an empress, minus the crown. But here's the spicy bit. Yang was curvy, and her figure made her sweat more than others, so she upped her bathing game. To keep things fresh, she'd use scented powders, oils, perfumes, and herbs, not just on herself but also on her clothes. Wherever she went, her fragrance could be smelled from a mile away. This was her beauty superpower. Each of the 4 beauties had their own iconic feature, and Yang's was her famous scent. She basically turned herself into a walking perfume cloud, and people were obsessed. Now, about that one hiccup. Yang once ticked off the emperor, and he sent her packing. She sent him a heart-wrenching letter along with a lock of her hair. You see, hair in ancient China wasn't just hair. It was practically sacred. Confucius said your hair, skin, and nails were gifts from your parents, so cutting it was a huge deal. And this dramatic gesture? It totally worked. The emperor moved, called her back, and all was forgiven. Speaking of indulgence, let's talk about those lychee stories. Yang's favorite fruits, and if she craved them, what Yang want, Yang gets. The palace made it happen in a sudden, even if it's far from the south of China. But how? So, to indulge Yang's craving for lychees, the horse relay races night and day, non-stop 1,900 kilometers away from the palace. It's like Pony Express delivery. Word spread that some horses were so weary that they died at the pit stop. Talk about living the diva life. Meanwhile, her family, especially her cousin Yang Guizhou, was swimming in wealth and power. But that power attracted enemies, like General An Lushan. Now, this guy was tricky, real tricky. He was the kind of guy who'd crack jokes, make fun of himself, and pretend to be clueless so people would think he was harmless. And it worked. Even Emperor Xuanzong believed him to be a loyal and honest man, and got so cozy with the emperor that he asked to be adopted as Yang Guifei's son. And of course, the emperor agreed. During one palace visit, An Lushan bowed to Yang Guifei first, saying, "Barbarians bow to mothers before fathers." Smooth, right? Xuanzong saw this as a sign of ultimate loyalty and treated An with even more favor, but An was playing a long game. Power struggles between Yang Guizhou and An Lushan spiraled out of control, and An eventually rallied his troops and marched toward the capital. Xuanzong considered handing the throne to his crown prince, Li Hong, but Guizhou, who had conflict with the prince, saw this as a threat. So, who does he turn to for backup? None other than Yang Guifei, of course. As a result, the emperor held off on stepping down. An's forces were at the palace gates in no time. With chaos reigning supreme, Guizhou suggested a hasty retreat to Chengdu, and the emperor, Yang, and their entire entourage were on the run. But picture this: hungry soldiers, angry mobs. It was a royal mess. The imperial guards accused Guizhou of treason and blamed he had started all these bad events and demanded his whole family to be beheaded. Xuanzong agreed, but the soldiers didn't stop there. They surrounded the emperor's quarters, and Xuanzong had to come out to calm them. He even ordered them to go, but they refused to leave, and guess whom the soldier wanted on the chopping block next? You got it, Yang Guifei. At first, Xuanzong wasn't having it, but pressure can make even emperors buckle. With a heavy heart, the 3-foot white silk was handed to Yang Guifei, a symbolic length of fabric used for noble suicides. In ancient standards, it was considered a mercy. This silk symbolized a somber privilege, a final gesture of respect, allowing her to take her own life with honor. Xuanzong asked his eunuch, Gao Lisher, to take her to the nearby Buddhist temple. Now, here's where the gossip kicks in. Some say Yang hung herself gracefully. Others whisper she was strangled by the eunuch tasked with overseeing her death. Whatever the truth, her end was as dramatic as her life. Her demise at 38 was as dramatic as her life. She was buried without a coffin, just some fragrant flowers and purple. Later, when Xuanzong's son took the throne and things settled down, they dug her up and gave her a proper coffin. The diva life, rising to the top with beauty and charm, only to fall hard and be victimized because of her looks. Though she knew nothing about politics and was simply living her best life, she got caught in the middle of power struggles. And someone always ends up the scapegoat. Unfortunately, that someone was her. Xuanzong, on the other hand, had fought tooth and nail to secure his throne, making his dynasty prosper. But once he hit his peak, he lost his grip, indulging in women. Lots of women. It's said he had over 40,000 concubines, but Yang? She was the top favorite, the one who had his heart. Even in death, Yang Guifei's legacy lingered. Her divine scent, her tragic fate, and the legend of the woman who captivated an emperor, only to be sacrificed to save his empire.